Hey everybody, it's Mike Frieder and I'm here with On-Call Compliance Solutions. And today, I'm gonna take you through everything that you need to know right now about DFARS, NIST SP 800-171, and CMMC certification if you are in the defense industry. Awesome. Hey, so today we're going to talk a little bit about these information security compliance standards and how you can transform into your company's on-call compliance hero and get this solved and finally get your company able to answer those questionnaires you're getting from your prime contractors and from the government so that you can win your business, so that you can be compliant, so you can feel great about it, and so that you can ultimately be more secure and handle information security the way it's meant to be done and the way that the government mandates that it get done. So again, super excited for you to join me here right now. You're gonna wanna stay tuned to the end on this video because we're gonna deliver so much value and so much knowledge about this stuff. Again, especially if this is sort of your first time, or maybe it's your 15th time, you're a year into your compliance journey, and you're just, head is swirling and you're beating your head against the wall and you're like, man, I'm never gonna figure this out. The great thing is, again, right here, we're gonna deliver everything you need to know about these compliance standards. So first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna actually bring it right on down to the foundation, right? We're gonna start with this standard called the FAR. And if you've never heard of the FAR is the Federal Acquisition Regulation, okay? So what that is anytime you do business with the federal government, you are actually operating under acquisition regulations, okay? These are laws that govern how you must do business whenever you are transacting business by or on behalf of the government, okay? We're not even in the defense stuff yet, so this is any branch of the federal government. And there's a particular clause called FAR 252.204-71, okay? And it's basic information safeguarding. It means that the information related to what you're doing for the government must be held confidential, okay? It's got to be secure. That information must be kept in a safe manner, okay? And there are 15 basic safeguarding controls. And again, this is before you even really get to the requirements for defense. Now, when you do start entering the realm of defense contracting or just even supplying the defense supply chain, right? So again, you somehow become aware that the work that you're doing is on behalf of the DoD or just is in general military related or something like that. Even aerospace a lot of times falls under defense funding. You get a supplemental set of laws called DFARS, or the Defense Federal Acquisition Regulation Supplement. You guessed it. As if there couldn't be enough laws in the FAR, there's supplemental laws that come out whenever you start touching defense work. And you know what? It's for a really good reason. There is a regulation in there called DFARS 252.204-7012 or 7012, okay? And in that regulation, they outline a whole host of things that you have to do in order to be compliant and legally perform your work on behalf of the defense industry, right? So again, whether it's you directly contracting with the DoD or if it's just you and you're supplying something, maybe it's a part to something larger, or maybe it's just some kind of supplies or even services to the defense industry. Again, you are going to fall under this set of laws, DFARS 252.204-7012. Now, most famously, there is a compliance standard that says, hey, if you're using your own IT system to perform the work and not a government system, which of course is a little bit more challenging, if you're using your IT systems in order to perform the work that you've agreed to do either as a prime or a subcontractor, then you must secure that system using a compliance standard called NIST SP 800-171. Now, NIST SP 800-171 is an amazing, amazing compliance standard. It's put out there by our friends at the National Institute of Standards and Technologies, and essentially their job is to create universally applicable standards for protecting things. And in this case, NIST SP 800-171 is the de facto way to secure controlled unclassified information, or CUI. That is, any information that is non-public and relates back to defense work. Now look, I know there's gonna be a bunch of comments below. No worries, all right? Giving an overly broad definition of what CUI is. Obviously, CUI is different for different companies. And again, we help our clients to kind of figure all of that stuff out. But ultimately, what NIST SP 800-171 is all about is it's all about protecting and safeguarding CUI information. Now, we get one more layer deep into it, and we get into this thing called CMMC certification. What is CMMC certification, right? CMMC certification is a really interesting sort of thing that is coming up on the horizon here. Again, it's sort of being written into law as we speak. It's definitely moving forward. There's no question about that. And very soon what's going to happen is before you can win your defense work, you will actually have to have a third party certify that you are in fact following the requirements and meeting the rules under DFARS 7012 and NIST SP 800-171. So third party validation, and then they will give you a CMMC certification. So we'll talk a little bit more in depth on that as we go on, but ultimately what all of this boils down to is you have to secure your information in a very specific way. You have to secure your IT systems, your physical premise, your facility. You have to train your people. All of these things are now required by law. And by the way, they have been since 2017 when these laws came out. CMMC certification is a little newer than that. We'll get into that a little bit later. But the point is, if you're wondering if you have to comply with this stuff, or maybe you're seeing it for the first time right now, listen, you may have been living under a shell or something, but this stuff has been around and required by law since 2017, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go along. Now, I'm going to have our special effects team throw up some graphics here for you because I'm a visual guy, I'm a picture guy, and a picture to me is worth a whole lot more than the breath I can say. So if you're looking for the reason why you're being mandated to comply with this stuff and go through all of this security stuff, well, the reason that the DoD won't touch you anymore without evidence that your information security meets minimum levels is really pretty simple. Honestly, right now, we would probably still be the world's policemen like we were in the 1980s. But the problem is that our enemies didn't have to get good at creating incredible fighter planes and Humvees and even aircraft carriers for that matter, right? They didn't have to get good at building those things. They just had to get good at stealing information from small to mid-sized businesses just like you. So now what we're fighting is actually, it's terrible. We're fighting ourselves plus one, right? We're fighting fighter jets like the J-31. They're a complete and total knockoff. I mean, like bolt for bolt, washer for washer off of an F-35, except that the Chinese had to start at our best product, and then they got to start improving it from there with their engineers. Same thing goes with the Humvee. If you look at the Dongfeng EQ 2050, well, let me tell you, it doesn't exactly meet Chinese design aesthetic, right? It's terrible, all right? They couldn't even try to hide the fact that they're ripping us off. But the point is how did they get that information? They got it from companies like you who didn't take proper information security precautions, and they got really, really good at hacking into us. Now, a little bit more about these standards. The number one threat to national security right now is cyber attack. All right, I can't emphasize that enough. Cyber attack on the United States defense supply chain, it's the number one most targeted type of company in the world. Nobody wants to hack a U.S. defense contractor more than our enemies. The enemies know that traditional war is really not an option. They also know that our biggest weakness is the disjointed private companies just like you that fuel the Department of Defense. Okay? The average ransom paid in 2021 from a ransomware infection was over $170,000. And the average cost to recover from a ransomware attack in 2021 was over $1.85 million. By the way, most companies don't have liability that will cover them over $500,000 to $1 million, and that's a pretty scary thought. So the best thing you can possibly do, and this is why the government has literally mandated this by law to the companies that it values the most, i.e. you, the defense contractor, is get secure now. Get the risk management in place now before it's too late. And by the way, get professional help doing that. Let's not play around with trying to do this ourselves. These standards were created and later added into law in an effort to protect America's softest target from attack, which is you, okay? You, the small to mid-sized business who may not have a big cybersecurity budget or really even give much thought to this. So one of the questions that I get asked all the time is, do I really need to be compliant? And you know what? I think in some cases that's a pretty valid question. So let's dive into who really has to be compliant. Number one, if you have a contract with the DoD, this is an easy one, okay? Yes, you are required by law to comply with DFARS 7012, even if it is not written in your contract per the Christian doctrine. We'll talk a little bit more about what the Christian doctrine is in a minute. Number two, if you're a subcontractor under a prime, probably 90% of the people watching this video will be a subcontractor or supplier under some kind of a prime that won the contract. Yes, anyone who does subcontract work under a DoD prime is subject to flow down requirements via DFARS 7012. Nothing you can do about it. If you even find out that you're involved in defense work, yep, this applies to you. Let's be honest, you got the questionnaire. You already know it's you. That's why you're here trying to figure this stuff out with me. Good news, you're in the right place, all right? Number three, what if I don't even handle CUI? Yes, even if you are not handling CUI, if you have a defense contract or a subcontract, you still must be DFARS compliant, okay? So even if you're not handling CUI, we get this all the time, if you're operating on behalf of someone in defense, you still have to be compliant, okay? Even if what you're putting out there is a COTS item, which I'll talk about in a second. Will I need to be CMMC certified? Another huge question. If you have contracts with the DoD or handle CUI, right, that's controlled unclassified information, or FCI, federal contract information, you will be required to become CMMC certified very, very soon. Okay, they're rolling out the process. There's no more question about whether this is going to happen or not. They're literally writing it into law right now. And yes, and by the way, if you haven't started in on this, you really need to get some professional help, because this is not something you can just go get done in a day or two, okay? Not at least getting to the point where you're ready for CMMC certification. So when should I start working on this? Well, by law, you should have already been compliant by 2017 or notified your contract officer or your prime point of contact that you are not 100% complying with this. So again, if that's where you are right now, I would highly encourage you to give us a call. Let's talk about what needs to happen in order for us to help you take a fast track to getting compliant. Now, what about commercial off-the-shelf items, right? Big question, because this is interesting. This actually changed in the last few years. A commercial off-the-shelf or COTS item is one that is sold, leased, or licensed to the general public, offered by a vendor trying to profit from it, supported and involved by the vendor who retains the intellectual property rights, available in multiple identical copies, and used without modification of the internals. So again, a COTS products are still subject to FAR and DFARS regulations, especially in the case of the DFARS 252.204-7012 flowdown. So yes, even if it's a commercial off-the-shelf available item that you sell to other people, you still have to be compliant if you are working under the premise of knowing that it's for defense. Now let's talk a little bit more about the FAR, okay? FAR 52.204-21, today's legal requirement. Basic safeguarding of covered contractor information systems. The contractor shall apply the following basic safeguarding requirements and procedures to protect covered contractor information systems. Requirements and procedures for basic safeguarding of covered contractor information systems shall include, at a minimum, the following security controls. Now look, I'm not going to read them to you. There's 15 basic security controls. The good news is they overlap with NIST SP 800-171, but just to handle the federal contract, you still have to implement 15 basic safeguarding controls on information security. Also, Clause C of the FAR mandates flow down of subcontracts. So the contractor shall include the subcontract of this clause, including this paragraph C, in subcontracts under this contract, including subcontracts for the acquisition of commercial items other than commercially available off-the-shelf items, in which the subcontractor may have federal contract information residing in or transiting through its information system. So again, if you are aware of the fact that you are handling federal contract information, yep, you got to be compliant with the FAR. Now let's talk about the DFARS, right? Our defense portion, okay? Safeguarding covered defense information and cyber incident reporting. Because let me tell you, there's a whole lot more to this than NIST SP 800-171. I know that's the big one everybody talks about because it's huge, it's hundreds of pages, and really, really hard to understand. And I'm with you. But there's even more. So it requires safeguarding of contractor information systems via the requirements in NIST SP 800-171 in effect at the time the solicitation is issued. That means you can't just go out and win the business, hack it on the golf course and hope for a hole-in-one. No, you've got to get compliant with this stuff now before you go win your business. Because if they're going to come back and ask you security questions when you're getting that contract award, if you don't have the right answer, it's going to hold up your payment and might even wind up disqualifying you as someone who's qualified to even win. How awful would that be? You get awarded the business, you're all excited, you're budgeting, you're hiring, and wham, you get a slap in the face that the business just got yanked because you weren't compliant. Ugh. Let's not do that, guys. We can help you with that, all right? So 110 technical controls, 4 policies at a minimum. Guys, we have like 13 to 15 policies that we're giving out on average to our average company, even small businesses, that you're going to need to have in place in order to comply with this. Cloud services used are subject to disclosure, right? So if you're using, I don't know, Gmail or something like that, or Office 365 commercial, look, they're subject to disclosure and the security requirements in DFARS 252.204-7012 requiring a FedRAMP moderate rating, and usually that data has to be held in the United States. Again, we can get more into that on another video. You must report all cyber incidents to DoD rapidly and preserve all evidence in case they want to do a forensic analysis. An image of your data must be held for 90 days after the breach report is made. So here, not just any old backup will do, there's got to be very specific image-based backups that get made, and they've got to be held for a certain amount of time as well. The DoD actually has the right to take your information and release it to third parties. Like even sometimes your competitors. There's a lot more to this than meets the eye, and it's certainly not just all about NIST SP 800-171. Flow down of 7012 requirements to all operationally critical subcontractors involved in production of the contract. So if you've got subcontractors that you need to finish the work and produce that finished product or service, guess what? They've got to be compliant too. So we can help you navigate that. Cyber incident reporting flows up. So again, everybody in the chain has got to flow up their reports if there is a cyber incident. Scary stuff. Again, we help our clients navigate that as well. Now, why is this all so widespread? Well, there's this little thing called the Christian doctrine, okay? Or as we like to call it, it's in your contract even if it's not. If you're doing business with the DoD, even as a subcontractor, by law you're subject to the laws governing doing business with the DoD. Since 1963, courts have held that certain clauses are so integral to public procurement that they are deemed incorporated by operation of law, even if they're omitted from the contract. Both the FAR and DFARS are covered by the Christian doctrine. And because of that, if you're doing business with the DoD, you guessed it, you have to be compliant. Now, what about CMMC certification? We get asked that all the time, all right? DoD contracts will very soon require an organization to be certified by an outside third-party assessor in order to verify that they are actually complying and practicing the controls required to adequately safeguard information within their environment. No matter how great your past performance and relationships are now, by 2023 or 2024, you'll be ineligible to do business with the DoD without certification, and it's just going to be required on more and more and more defense contract work until it's covered by all of it, okay? CMMC level 1, what else can I tell you? It's equivalent to the FAR, all right? CMMC level 1 is equal to the FAR 52204-21 and those 15 basic safeguarding requirements. CMMC level 2 is kind of equivalent to the DFARS, or the DFARS 252.204-7012. Again, 110 controls. You got to have a bunch of policies in place. You got to have everything documented. You've got to have true, genuine risk management and cybersecurity in place. So, what's this level 3 about? You know what? Don't worry about it because they're not even writing laws for it yet. So yes, there are 3 levels to CMMC, and you don't really have to worry about level 3 because no one's actually really requiring it yet. In the future, it will be for advanced security practices. And again, very few people I think will really have that requirement. But right now, CMMC level 2 for most people and probably you is the target. Now, another thing about compliance, pretty painful, it's pass, fail, okay? There's no in between. You either pass it or you fail it. So getting this wrong, not really a good option. That's why we always tell people, hey, look, you can try to do it yourself. We really recommend professional help. CMMC level 2 is the lowest level acceptable to handle CUI. So again, if you're involved in any way with defense work, CMMC level 2 is definitely going to be your target. And CMMC level 1 is required just to handle the contract itself. Now, a lot of people ask me, they go, Mike, is not being compliant an option? And I smile at them and I say, man, I really wish it was. But the answer is no. In fact, if you're found to not be compliant and you have stated in a questionnaire that you are, that's called a false claim. And false claims are yucky, right? The penalty for false claims includes 1, damages that equal triple the gross of your contract. If you got a $1 million contract and you are found to not be compliant, you're talking about $3 million in penalty, all right? And I don't know about you, but that'd be pretty hard for my company to endure, right? Also, every incident, every piece of information, CUI that they find, is an incident, costing you $11,000 per incident. I would just say it's like infinity and beyond, because let's be honest, that's a lot of money, all right? Now I'll tell you, the proof of how they do this is, not to kind of dive off track, but if you're familiar at all with HIPAA, all right, in the medical industry, every patient record exposed is a HIPAA incident, okay? It's a HIPAA fine, it's a HIPAA violation, and it's based on every single medical record. There's never ever just one. There's only like thousands and tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands and millions. And I gotta tell you, at $11,000 per incident, guys, they're trying to send you a message about how serious this is and why we emphasize it so much. Now, even worse, they can straight up just revoke your contract, okay? Now, here's the really crazy part about that. One, they can yank your contract. Two, they can go give that contract to your competitor. And three, they can actually mandate that they take whatever information's been exposed, and again, through that forensic investigation process, there is a potential possibility that your information could wind up sliding on over to your competition who can complete the work. Oh, that's ugly. We don't want you to go there, all right? I don't want you to, like, horrible. And believe me, it's happened, okay? So again, the government will find somebody to complete their work, I promise you that. That is a truth. Now, here's another really nasty one that a lot of people really don't think about. If you're the third tier subcontractor on your contract, okay, and you screwed up and you got caught with an information incident, okay, and they find out you're not compliant, guess what happens to that entire contract? It can get frozen, which means, look, pardon my French, but you're screwing yourself, you're screwing the subcontractors below you, and you're screwing the prime contractors above you, and I can't even imagine what kind of liability that brings on your head, okay? You just don't want to check that box and say that you're compliant to get the work. It's a trap. Don't do it, okay? Just get compliant. It's so much easier to just do the right thing, okay? Finally, you can be blacklisted from doing business with the government and others, okay? Again, if you cause the havoc, all right, you risk information and you prove you're not a safe partner to do business with, let me tell you what, you're not getting any more work, all right? They do have an ability to blacklist you. They do, you know, the government has something called the SPRS, or the Supplier Performance Risk System, okay? You get some black marks in there, and let me tell you what, they can't contract with you anymore, okay? There's a lot of real bad stuff that can happen when you have information security incidents, and then they turn around and find out, well, you really weren't compliant, actually. So let's not go there, okay, guys? In 2021, just to give you an idea, the DOJ recovered over $5 billion in false claims violations. So again, yes, there has been stepped up enforcement, okay, in the last year or two. Big time stepped up enforcement. Also in 2020, that number was like 2.6 billion. They've basically doubled every year the number of false claim violation settlements. And by the way, those are settlements. That's not even the money they're still trying to collect right now. That's what they've actually settled for. Again, I just cannot express this enough. You don't want to go off and accidentally lie in a contract to the federal government, even if you're a subcontractor. So, are you sure I can't just sweep this thing under the rug? Hey, listen, we get asked these questions, so I want to give you the answers, right? This is everything you're supposed to know, so I want to give you everything you're supposed to know. We tell people when they ask us this question, we say no matter how great your past performance is. And I got to tell you, for some of the older generation, this is one of the heartbreaking things to me. You've been supplying defense for 40 years. You get hit with this IT stuff, this compliance stuff, like what do I need to secure my system for? I'm a small business. No, it doesn't matter how great your past performance is, okay? They can't work with you anymore. That's the law. And let me tell you what, the people giving you that work, they're gonna get in a whole lot more trouble by continuing to give you that work if you're not compliant. So you still run the risk of a false claim violation. And again, I just don't want you to go there. Because of the widespread failure to follow the law, okay, true story, and continued cyber attacks and ransomware putting the country at risk, the DoD has felt they had no other choice but to start setting examples by suing in 2019. Okay, I just read you some of those numbers. Over $5 billion last year alone. Then they created CMMC certification, and by 2026, everyone will have to be certified. But the process has already started, okay? Again, it's literally being written into law right now here in 2023. So again, if you are still getting introduced to this, or if you've been working for months and months and months, hey, let's be honest, if you've been binging on our awesome YouTube videos and you still haven't got it, you're behind. And there is an easier way, and I'll tell you about it in a little while, okay? What is an SPRS score, and how does it apply to my company? Great question. Hear a lot about SPRS scores. A lot of people having their payments stopped because they don't have an SPRS score in the government system. So because of the extreme need to have DoD contractors adequately protect their information, the DoD has drastically stepped up audits and implemented new mandatory requirements in order to continue doing business safely. As of November 30th, 2020, everyone with an active DoD contract or who is an active subcontractor is required to prove they are complying with DFARS 7012 and NIST SP 10171 by entering a System Security Plan score into the SPRS system. The SPRS system is the DoD's vendor risk management system, okay? Failure to have a score on file is a clear indication of a failure to comply directly with the DoD. And by the way, I'm not going to go into what your score should be, but we'll just say if it's not perfect, it's waving a giant red flag that you don't have your stuff together and that you're not complying with the law, putting you at risk of audit, false claim penalties, or contract revocation. None of that I want you to experience, okay? You're here, you found us. I don't want you to go through that bad stuff. We can help with that. Now, we get asked all the time, all right, how can I get compliant? And you know what I'm going to tell you, right? Because this is everything you got to know about being compliant and about these laws. I'm going to tell you there's actually 3 ways to get compliant, and I'm going to teach you what they are. You ready? Let's go. All right. 1, you can do it yourself. I like to do it myself. True story. Look, if you do it yourself, in a best case scenario, you're going to be spending 6 to 18 months full time just trying to understand and implement this. I'm talking like you have no day job. This is your day job, okay? And you got a really good background in IT and cybersecurity and legal and HR and personnel policy and driving culture, and you can do all that stuff, all right? 6 to 18 months full time to even understand this and implement it. If you're lucky. Most clients we talk to who've tried to do it themselves have been trying to do it themselves for years, okay? And it just gets stuck in a mire of muck and it just never gets done. There's a high probability of mistakes and excessive spending, all right? And this is the one that really gets me because I gotta tell you guys, there are less expensive ways to get compliant than trying to do it yourself. You literally, between the time and the money you'll invest into solutions just trying to get compliant, look, all I can tell you is let us help, all right? If you're even thinking about doing it this way, have a call with one of our experts for free first, and then decide if you still really want to go at this stuff, okay? Compliance is pass-fail. Not getting it right is not an option. You don't get a second chance at this, right? To be compliant, you have to pass. Basically, you have to be compliant. There isn't like, hey, I can be compliant with 109 out of 110 controls. That's not what the law is. So again, it's pass-fail. All right, we just want you to pass. Expertise is required in high-level IT, cybersecurity, legal, HR, physical premise security knowledge, okay? All kinds of different interdisciplinary areas of practice. And then on top of that, to really do this right, you gotta have somebody that can drive cultural change in your organization, all right? It's not a one-man job. And by the way, for the IT people out here watching this, here's the good news. This isn't really just an IT problem, all right? For my general counsels that are watching this, it's not just a legal problem. I know it's compliance. This is an all hands on deck. We need a leader to get us through this kind of problem. The cost of accidentally making a false claim is very real, okay? We talked about that earlier. Triple damages, $11,000 per incident, being basically debarred, blacklisted. Oh, it's really, all right? Think about this. Number 1 threat to national security is what we're playing with here. And yeah, the government's serious about it. So there's big time penalties. Here's one of my favorite reasons why you shouldn't do this yourself though. And my personal number 1 reason. You could be potentially missing out on current marketing and sales opportunities. The average client that we help nets millions of dollars in additional defense work, okay? For those companies that are looking to grow, being compliant and knowing how to talk about it to your potential clients is a massive, massive win. I don't care if you're 1 employee or over 60,000+ employees like several of our clients are. I'm gonna tell you that this is probably the greatest marketing and sales opportunity that you've ever come across. And if you're an IT guy or if you're an attorney or if you're a project manager, you're like, what are you talking about? Hey, it's cool. Just go tell your CEO what I just said. They'll get it and they'll get really excited. All right. And then we can work together. So again, I don't want you to miss out on those opportunities. What am I talking about? Well, here's the reality. Okay. Now I'm a little biased, but my business is doing pretty well. Just going to talk straight with you. Okay. Defense is the market to be in, baby. All right. Let's talk real. Now, I'm going to throw up a little graphic on the screen here, and there's two graphs in this graphic, okay? One is the amount of money that the DoD spends, all right? What direction do you think that's going? Up, 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 all right? Especially these days, okay? The American war machine is alive and well, and let me tell you what, the defense industrial base, there couldn't be a better place to do business, okay? Now, here's the interesting thing. Less vendors than ever before in history. So as these regulations crank up, as it becomes more complicated to do defense work. There are less and less people vying for more and more and more dollars. And I want to help you capture that, all right? Really serious about that, okay? Again, this is probably the number one reason why our clients love us so much, is because we don't just get them compliant. And yeah, we're going to do that too. And yeah, we can help you with your technology. We can handle every part of this. But the biggest thing that we do is we help you grow. We show you, we shine a light on what other people have missed, and we demonstrate exactly how to do it. Because if you're in an industry and the number of dollars in that industry are going up and your competition's going down, man, I'm running onto that field to play football, all right? I'm there. Now, there are 3 ways to get compliant. We talked about the first one, which is doing it yourself, okay? There's a second way, okay? You can pay $500 a month for some sort of a template or a document storage locker type of solution, okay? Now again, I'm not gonna go into specifics because there's a lot of solutions out on the market, but let me tell you something. If you're paying some kind of an annuity for a system to hold information securely when the whole compliance standard is about you being able to hold information securely, something about that doesn't make a lot of sense. Get it? All right. Now look, why do these things exist? Number one, they're a common lure of larger companies to land and expand relationships, okay? I promise, if that's what you're buying, there's more to come. Now, number two, we'll have you chasing your tail for months, still needing help because all this thing is some sort of software platform. There's still no actual expert that you get to talk to help you solve your problem. So a lot of these software solutions for compliance, they don't make any sense. And I gotta tell you guys, we don't even use them. Now, number three, does not address the need for someone to review your physical premise. Now, I don't know about you, AI is coming a long way, but I haven't found a computer program that I can buy that can walk around my building and tell me where I need a security camera. It's probably coming pretty soon, right? Like ChatGPT 15 or something. The point is ultimately at the end of the day, you need more than what a piece of software can do. Also, it may be possibly more time consuming than a do-it-yourself method. Like, because now you got to figure out all the compliance stuff yourself. Then you got this platform that you bought and you got to figure that out yourself. We all know how good that tech support is, right? All right. Does not give you a real life person to ask questions to or seek clarification to on gray areas. Guys, these are software companies. They're really good at survey software, okay? You're not going to get what you're thinking you're going to get. It's not a done for you solution. It's more like a, hey, let's add a couple of extra steps into what it's going to take to do this. Yuck. All right. It doesn't address any specific application of the standards to your specific environment. It's still all left for you to figure out on your own. All right, and you're having a hard enough time just reading this stuff because it's full of complex language and legalese and yuckiness. All right, it's just not straightforward and easy, and no piece of software is going to change that. There's no scoping assistance to simplify your compliance journey. It's on you to figure everything out yourself. And I got to tell you, we save our clients millions of dollars by helping them to scope out things that don't need to be compliant and isolate what does need to be compliant to figure out the most efficient, effective, fastest, most cost-effective way to be compliant throughout this process. Nobody wants to do more work than is absolutely necessary. We all want to meet the spirit of the law, but again, if you understand how to properly scope, create enclaves, all of that fun stuff, then you know what? You're going to be in a situation where it's a lot easier to comply. And a piece of software just can't do that for you, okay? I'm sorry, it just can't. Does not address any of the mandatory deliverables outside of the system security plan and the plan of action with milestones, such as personnel policies and incident response plans. So again, I know everybody loves their piece of software they pay a couple bucks a month for, but let's be honest, this stuff isn't cheap either, and it's forever. It's forever. You're gonna just keep paying into this thing, right? Because now they got your system security plan, their platform. Look, ultimately, this doesn't address a lot of things that you need. There's a lot of policies that have to be customized to you. Everything actually in this has to be customized to you. There's really, I don't know how you can really template this very well at all, but yet those solutions exist. Now, one more way that you can get compliant, okay? You can hire a consultant like us with substantial experience in the areas of information security, not just digital, by the way, physical premise security, cyber security, HR, legal, policy creation, cultural leadership at a very minimum, because that's what you're going to need to succeed with this, okay? If you're going to pick a consultant, we tell people, hey, look, don't work with anyone who has not been through some sort of cyber AB training and has certifications to prove it. I'll tell you, at our company, we have over 8 teams of CMMC registered practitioners. We have teams of CMMC certified professionals on the assessment side. So at our company, just as an example to pull from, we have multiple teams of registered practitioners to help people get compliant, and we have other people on staff who actually are trained in the assessment process and who are assessment professionals who know exactly what the assessment process is like. And in our case, we're very unique because we have experience with both DIBCAC, all right, that's the actual body inside of the DoD and the government who will actually assess you on the government side, and C3PAO companies and CMMC CCAs or assessors. So the cool thing with us is you actually get knowledge from the preparation side and the assessment side, which is so cool. You want to find out, do they provide support after the sale? Because let me tell you what, look, whatever the sale is that's going to happen here, you're going to get some consulting, you're going to get some help for this thing. Hopefully, you know, in our case, we provide everything. You still need follow-up support, okay? I got to tell you, one of the coolest things about running this company is that at our company, being On-Call Compliance Solutions, when you engage with us, you can ask us questions forever without ever being charged, okay? I don't even think I have to say anything more. Like, that's it. Like, you're never going to go on the clock if you've got a 5-minute quick question. If it's something bigger than that, we can talk about it. But honestly, most of what you're going to need after you have a consultation with us, look, it's going to be quick questions, right? We're going to lay it all out for you, and we're going to make sure we have a custom designed solution just for you. So again, do they provide support after the sale? Can they solve for everything you need? Here's the cool thing about On-Call Compliance Solutions. We're basically managed by a global managed IT services company called On-Call Computer Solutions. We have clients all over the world. We consult defense contractors all over the world, and we actually provide fully DFARS compliant solutions that can solve for every single control and aspect of DFARS laws, NIST SP 800-171, and we know the CMMC certification process, okay? How cool is that? So if whoever you're maybe looking at doesn't meet that kind of experience level, you might want to go run away. We even have a separate division that does nothing but email migrations to Office 365 GCC High. Now, I have no idea if you might need that or not. A lot of companies don't, but a lot of companies do. We have an entire division of our company that's dedicated to that. And again, there's just an absolute difference when it comes to working with professionals who have dedicated their lives, their hearts and souls, like who they are as a company, to helping defense contractors and people in the defense industry with this exact problem. And we have for years. Look, we also tell people, be careful about being locked into an outrageous long-term monthly recurring contract. We don't have those here at On-Call. Okay, we've been in business for over 20 plus years. We have amazing guarantees around the products that we offer. We even have a guarantee that we had to get a special exception from the Cyber AB for, because they have rules against those kinds of things. You can't guarantee certain things. We can, okay? So again, what I'll tell you about that is, you want to be careful about getting into a long-term monthly recurring contract. But here's the number one reason I think that that's really true. The reality is, if you're watching this video, you need to get compliant right now. Like, you probably should have been compliant a year or two ago. So what good is a solution that takes months and months and months to roll out and implement? It just doesn't make any sense. So I really want to encourage you, listen, don't go get locked into a long-term year or 3-year long deal, all right? With us, you can actually work with us one time. That's it, right? Like one consultation. And if you love us and you want more of our services, hey, great. You know what? A lot of our clients do. But for a lot of clients, they've got IT departments and they've got great staffs, and they just need the big heavy lift up front done for them, and then they're good to go, right? And the cool part about us is we have solutions that literally can help you at every step of the way. You need to check in once a year, we can do that. You need us to manage every aspect of your technology and compliance, we can do that. We've even got a virtual compliance officer service where you can essentially, for a fraction of the cost, lend out our virtual compliance officers. It's amazing. I mean, really, guys, this is what we do. So again, another thing is watch out for regular managed IT service providers, okay? Most IT consultants and MSPs cannot provide this level of cybersecurity. That's first. Second, they are likely not DFARS compliant. So if you've got an IT company, you're thinking to yourself, hey, I'll just call my IT company, first question out of your mouth should be, are you DFARS compliant? And if they come back with anything other than a rousing yes, run, call me. Our team is standing by, I promise. Look, I've been a managed IT service provider for years and years and years, and I love managed IT service providers, but there is a whole nother world when you start getting into compliance. It's not the same, okay? Your IT company can't handle this unless they've got a real niche expertise like we do to be able to get you where you need to go with confidence and competence. Now, how long before you receive your deliverables is another big challenge, because I've got to tell you, I've had clients of ours that have come and gotten help from us, and they're still waiting on their SSP from their providers, okay? When we finish up with a consultation, the system security plan is typically delivered before we walk out the door, okay? As a matter of fact, actually, that's done in almost 100% of cases. Extraordinarily rare that it wouldn't be. Ultimately, at the end of the day, you need to get compliant, probably now. All right, we need to be being prepared for CMMC certification so we're ready for the future. And the last thing you want to do is sit there and wait on your paperwork, wait on your documentation, wait for SPRS scores to be submitted. Again, this is not something that you can really afford to wait on, and so you need to know up front, how long are they going to take to get this information to you? You should know that up front, and they should be able to guarantee it. In our case, we do it right then and there. So how can we help from here? Well, I'll tell you, there's really a couple easy ways that we can help. Number one, subscribe to our channel. So if you sat through this video, one, I want to thank you so much. I hope that you've gained a ton of value and learned a lot from us, okay? We've been doing this for a lot of years. We're truly dedicated to securing people, stopping cyber threats, and helping people build their businesses within the defense industry. It's such an amazing place to exist, and it helps our country so much, all right? Look, subscribe to the channel. We bring you the latest up-to-date information when it comes to DoD information security and compliance. Our mission is to help you grow and succeed within the defense industry. You know, even if you only do a little bit of defense work, that's cool. There's an amazing amount of work that's just waiting to be picked up, and we want to help you do that, okay? So again, we want to help you succeed within the defense industry while we take care of all of this compliance stuff. Second thing I'd ask is, hey, like this video, okay? It matters to us, all right? It really makes us happy when we get likes on our videos. It tells us that we're doing good in the world, that we're putting out the right content here for you. I'm so excited that you chose to come here and watch this video. And you know what? You can show your excitement. You know, if we did something good for you in this video and provide you with some value, hit that like button. Next thing is this. Here's the big one. You ready? Go visit CMMCComplianceSecrets.com. That's CMMCComplianceSecrets.com. You can get more information there. You can self-schedule time with one of our certified compliance experts. By the way, we don't have regular salespeople, okay? We don't really operate like that. We literally, every single one of our people who you will ever interact with, okay, when you're first getting started with us, they're certified registered practitioners, okay? Because what's the point in it? Like, you need, there's no sale to be made here. You just need help getting compliant. So why not just put you directly in touch with a compliance expert, and that'll solve everything, right? You get the information you need, you can get the pricing information you need, and we can get you everything you need to start your journey to compliance and winning more defense work. For more information about us, okay, you want to learn about us, get some resources, and find ways that we can help, check out the description below. I know it's maybe not something you always do on a YouTube video, but look below the little video here, expand the description. We'll put a bunch of links there. We've got tons and tons of resources that can help you if you're in the defense industry. And look, it's a great way to get started. And most importantly, I just want to thank you so much for watching. I look forward to helping you on your journey to compliance. Our whole team is here behind you. We just want to see you guys be safe and win more defense work. And we're here ready to help you and be your on-call compliance hero.